Welcome to Bridging the Gap with Sal Mendez. Bridging the Gap is here to bridge the gap for the city's future success, to reach out to the lost and bring souls to know Jesus Christ, to help restore lives and do God's extraordinary work. Right now, here's Sal Mendez.
Well, hello, KDRY listeners. I want to thank you again for tuning into our Bridging the Gap radio talk show, where, as you know, we are inspired by faith and are always committed to action. My name is Sal Mendez, and I am your host here today on Bridging the Gap Radio. I want to welcome all our first-time listeners, anybody that is out there that may be joining us for the very first time. We hope that you continue to be with us here every Saturday at 7:30 p.m., and every other Saturday at 7:30 p.m. and at 1 p.m. You get a double portion of our interviews. As you know, each week we bring you special guest speakers, and today we have two individuals here that I've had the pleasure of meeting just very recently, and they are doing a great job, and their mission, as a matter of fact, their ministry is called King's Compassion. They're here with us today, and I want them to share their story because they're doing something great. You know, talk about serving, and a lot of times we can serve in a lot of different ways. God's calling can lead us to do so many things, but as long as we're serving the King of Kings, then wherever He puts us is our calling, and that's what we are called to do. And their calling is to serve the senior citizens here in San Antonio, where their ministry is located. I'm going to go ahead and let them share their story and what they're doing and how they're impacting their community and what has led them to be able to do what they're doing currently. So I want to welcome to our program today is Rose and Robert Reyes. Thank you so much for being here. Say hello to the people that are listening out there right now.
Well, first of all, thank you, Sal, for allowing us to be here, and thank you to all of the listeners that have the opportunity to hear what we have to share.
Yes, thank you for being here. Robert, say hello to the people listening
Hello.
out there.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing this day?
Thank you again for being here. We met on Thursday, I believe, when we had our meeting here at the Bridge in the Gap. We were having a meeting, and you were scheduled for another meeting. But, you know, God works in mysterious ways, right? All of a sudden, everybody was together at that meeting. And I think the benefits and the blessings by being able to come together to share resources, right? To be able to connect,
Yes.
and be able to be part of something bigger than who we are, to be able to serve the community that we are serving. That was something that we didn't plan.
Not at all.
You know?
And it was a pleasant surprise.
Yes, because you were going to meet with someone else, and then I was going to do the interview after the meeting, but, you know, everything tied in perfectly fine. It was we couldn't ask for something better.
Absolutely.
So I've known you for just a very short time, but I want you to share with our listeners, like some of the things that you've told me, a little background maybe to let the listener know, are you originally from here, or anything that you think they want to listen.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Rose Reyes, and my husband is Robert Reyes, and we are King's Compassion. And we really thank God, you know, for the opportunity to be able to be here and share some information with you and share a little bit of our story of what we're doing. Robert grew up on the South Side.
Right,
Graduated
Southside.
from South San.
Really?
South San High School, class
That's-
of 78.
Yep.
You graduated with me.
Did it really?
Graduated
Yeah.
78.
78?
Yeah.
Small
God.
world.
When you said South San, I'm like,
South
okay,
San High School. Yeah.
we got that there, but then you said 78. It's like, wow,
78.
maybe we know each other. I just don't.
Yes.
It's been what, 30? I don't even want to say.
Yeah.
About 30 years or so. I think. I don't
A
know.
long time.
42 years it's been.
Oh, don't tell me that, because I'm thinking I'm still thinking it's 30.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks. You just made me feel a lot older.
And so,
Wow.
And then I was actually born in Monterrey, but I've lived in San Antonio since I was 3 years old, and I love it. I love San Antonio, love the city. I graduated in 78 also from Thomas Jefferson High School. And so we're from San Antonio, and we love San Antonio.
That's awesome. Well,
And-
I have family in Monterey, so
yes.
never know.
Absolutely.
It's just getting better as we go.
Yeah,
Getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And so Robert and I had the opportunity back in 99 to start attending a new church. And right away, I remember it was shortly after that somebody had mentioned they wanted to start doing work with the poor in San Antonio. And that drew my attention because I've always kind of had a heart for the homeless. So I went to this gathering, this meeting. And in the meeting, I really enjoyed it. I started going. We were meeting in the Southtown area.
Okay.
And so kind of where Ceballos and Laredo, Nogalitos, and all meet.
Yeah.
And So we started volunteering with them. I actually started at first, and then Robert came along and joined me during Halloween because we were actually going to be going door to door. Now, this was in the south town of a side of town, and in reality, back in 1999, it wasn't very nice, and so it wasn't as developed as it is now, right? And so Robert was afraid for my safety, so he decides to join me, and we went door to door and just kind of gave out candies and stuff, but we also offered the opportunity to pray for people if they wanted prayer.
Sure.
And when Robert got a chance to go, he fell in love with it. And so we committed ourselves to this organization, and we would literally go door to door to let the families know about the different events and services that they offered. But the reality was that this organization focused on children and youth. And so they had various things for them, including, like tutoring and camps and things for the youth and children. But as we began going from door to door, our hearts were tugged toward the elderly. We realized that very often they tend to be neglected and forgotten. Right. And Robert and I both, were brought up in a time when you respected your elders, and so we were really, really drawn to them. So we started in 99, and we continued to serve faithfully and volunteering with this organization. So then what happened was that Robert at the time was working for Central Freight Lines, and he'd worked for them for many years, but he would go into work like at 3 a.m. and get off like at 11 or 12. So he started going after work and volunteering his time and thought, this is something I really enjoy. I can see myself doing this. But the reality is that Robert was very systematic and probably would never have taken a step on his own. So in 2003, Robert was cutting some limbs. We were going to have brush pickup, and we had a couple of trees that got hit by lightning and struck down. So Robert cut up the limbs and then decided to cut a tree, some limbs off of a tree that we have in our backyard. That was a defining moment because when he cut the limb, it went up higher than the ladder, and the ladder went back, and Robert landed on it. He fell probably about 10 to 12 feet and broke his back. So we tease now about it, and we say that God pushed him off the ladder because Robert wouldn't have taken that step of faith on his own. And
trying to get your attention,
yes,
maybe?
Absolutely.
That was God saying, well, do I have your attention now? So now you're going to work for me. So,
yeah. Well, that would have got my attention, believe me, falling off a ladder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at that point, he was disabled for over a year, and Central Freight Line could only hold his job for that time. So Robert lost his job of 23 years. And so we just had to begin to trust God. And Robert started getting some help. We continued to volunteer with this group. And during a trip that Robert had, a missionary trip to Mozambique in 2007, the Lord told him it was time for him to step out and do something new. And as often happens with fear, it was paralyzing to the point that he didn't even tell me about it. But God was already letting me know something was coming. So when the opportunity came in 2010, he actually went again. And I think God solidified during that trip to Africa that it was time to move. And so we did. We took a big step of faith, and we started King's Compassion. At the time, I was working in management full-time. I was actually attending college. I was also taking care of my elderly mom because my father had passed away in 2005. And I was also trying to go through the process of applying for our 501c3. But our heart is so for the elderly. So part of what, we feel called to do of the Lord is to really take care of them. So for us, it's about providing for their total well-being. So the elderly specifically that we help are 70 and above. They are living at or below the poverty level. So like right now in 2020, that would be like for a single person would be about $1,064 or less a month, or for a couple would be about $1,437. We specifically want to grow in some of the high poverty zip codes for San Antonio. The 78207, of course, is one of our main focuses. We want to be able to provide the biggest impact to this part of the community that so needs the services and goods that we offer,
right,
for them. And so for us, part of what we do is we offer companionship, right? So it's one of the things that really sets us apart is that we love to be able to build a relationship with the elderly. Mm-hmm. Robert and I we're blessed to have our parents, and especially our moms, late in life. Robert's mom lived to be almost 94, and my mom lived to be 97. And so we're so thankful for the examples that they gave us.
Right.
And also about how to treat the elderly. So for us, in that companionship, it's giving them the opportunity to feel like somebody is interested in them, somebody cares about them. So pre-COVID, we would actually spend time visiting with them. And of course, you can spend lots of time visiting with an elderly person. They have so many stories to tell and so much experience to share.
They're a wealth of information.
They
sometimes,
are. Absolutely.
Like working with the youth, I always tell them, look, sometimes you need to talk to an elderly person because they can tell you stuff that would blow your mind away.
Yes.
And I think we have lost that connection of just being able to engage, even just as two people, taking time to talk to one another, especially right now, the way things are at. It's difficult and hard, but I think those things have just kind of really are almost non-existent now. And I think that's what's lacking now, that, we're people that need to have that connection.
Yes.
We were made that way.
Yes.
To have those social connections.
Absolutely.
And it just sometimes, it just doesn't happen, and that's sad, especially for the elderly people that nobody talks to or visits them.
Absolutely. They're easily forgotten, right?
Yes.
And so now during COVID, though, we still continue to call them over the phone. We make sure that they're doing well, find out if they have any needs. The other thing is that we want to really help them maintain their independence. So part of the way that we do that, as an example, is we deliver groceries to them. The majority of the elderly that we serve are homebound. Mm-hmm. They don't drive. And even the ones that might drive probably shouldn't drive. So we provide to them. They don't have to go anywhere. Even like with COVID as an example, I am so thankful that as a community, we came together and tried to have food distribution places and stuff. Our elderly can go to those.
Oh, they're cut up even more.
Yes, even more so. So for us, we have that opportunity to meet a need that I think is often forgotten.
Yes.
And so another thing that we do is we do minor home repairs for them. Anything from changing a light bulb to a faucet to flooring. And Robert and our volunteers take care of all of their lawn care. So mowing their lawns and cleaning their properties. Sometimes what happens with the elderly is that the outside of their properties look pretty bad too. They tend to be as cluttered as they can be on the inside.
Lack of maintenance.
Yes. And so we help clear that up, because it clears the mind too, when you don't have all the chaos around you. So we do that. Once a year, we actually paint the exterior of the home for one of our elderly. And it's not just the painting aspect. We actually remove old boards and we do the whole caulking.
Try to upgrade.
Yes, absolutely.
From what they have.
And I will tell you honestly, and we don't boast about ourselves, but I will tell you that when Robert does something, Robert does it as unto the Lord. And it is an excellent job. It is done. Sometimes I say better than professionals, because it's just such a heart to give our very best.
Yes.
Give our very best to these people. They need to know how valuable they are. And of course, we also have lots of individuals and organizations that donate various things, anything from adult diapers to household appliances and furniture. And one thing I hadn't mentioned before is we've actually been functioning and operating out of our house for the last 9 years. We're believing God for a warehouse this year, but in the meantime, we've been faithful with what we have. But when people want to donate things, we have to be able to Robert will pick it up and go drop it off right away because we don't really have place
the
to
storage facility.
Exactly.
Now, with that being said, I don't know, God put this in my heart. We have a lot of listeners, and I know that a lot of times listeners are sometimes like, you know what, God has called me to help. I just don't know how or where. And sometimes you really, I mean, if you can't be there to volunteer, if you can't do something labor-wise, you know, sometimes, you know, hey, money is, and I know people don't want to talk about money sometimes, but, you know, if you can donate money sometimes, it's like you being there and doing something, because whatever you're able to help.
Yes.
And if somebody's listening, I know they're putting it out there that they're looking for a building. If somebody maybe has a building they want to donate,
Yes,
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Or want to help and facilitate to maybe help rent a building, contribute monthly, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
You know, God's going to bless you. When you bless other people, God blesses you. He sees that. It doesn't go out in vain.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put that out there, that you never know. A listener could be right this very moment. God told him, well, I got to help somebody. I just don't know who to help. Well, sometimes God will put somebody right in front of you and say, there you go.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I'll put that out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And so then one of the other things for us is restoring dignity to the elderly. So it might seem like simple stuff, but we like to acknowledge their birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
We love to acknowledge them for Mother's Day and Father's Day. As a matter of fact, last year we were in the middle of our painting project, and I had put together some goodie bags for the dads, and we had adopted a new elderly gentleman who, though he had family, you wouldn't know it. And so I went and I delivered his gift to him, his gift bag. And he opens the door and he has this huge smile. Bless his heart, he didn't even have any teeth. But he has this big smile and he says, "My children didn't remember me, but I knew you wouldn't forget me." And that it just so touched my heart.
Makes everything worthwhile, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's about. It's about touching those lives. And so for Thanksgiving, the very first year that we started King's Compassion, we actually invited our elderly to come to our house.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, a lot of them don't like to leave their homes.
Yeah.
So I started cooking Thanksgiving meals, and we go and deliver them to their homes. And then for Christmas, one of the things we do is we do our Christmas wish list, and usually in November we'll start asking them what they want, and we give them a limit. But most of the stuff that they desire is so practical.
Yeah.
You know,
Simple things.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't have central air and heat in their homes. So, you know, they want heaters, or they want blankets or socks or robes or things to keep them
Just
warm.
essential things. They're not like, hey, I want an iPad or something of that
The
nature.
things we take
Yeah,
for granted.
exactly.
The things we take for granted, without a doubt. And so, and we'll have people that will donate those items and adopt an elderly. And for some of them, it's become tradition. They're contacting us in advance. And then, you know, for us, it's important because we know that even though we offer a lot of different services and goods, we don't do it all, right? And so if there's something that they need, we try to find out what that is so that we can see what resources there are in the city, in our community. Connections, exactly. That is so vital, because there are things I can do and there are things I can't.
Exactly.
But there are things others can do and things that they can't, right? But we really tie together. It's a tapestry, right? And it's looking for how can we help each other, because I know Robert and I aren't in it like, oh no, this is just our organization and nobody can come. No, we're not like that at all. I have actually helped people to help them through their 501c3 application, because nobody helped me. I had to do all the research, right?
Totally understand.
And so it's like, share the wealth.
Yes.
But that's not only in knowledge and experience, it's also resources. So as an example, some of our elderly have needed roofs. So we were able to find some organizations that do that, as well as our city program under one roof. We help them with their application. Some of our elderly have gotten roofs that way, doing wills, whatever they need. If we don't do it, we look to see who can help them, who can meet that need for them. And so for us, we consider it such a privilege to be able to do what we do. We are not aware of another organization in San Antonio that does what we do, but that's all right. We want to keep growing, and I think people have the opportunity to kind of hear our story, and especially folks that have had the chance to either listen to us, whether on an interview or had the chance to come and volunteer with us and do the work, right? Do the humble work.
Yes, exactly.
And they see that this is real and that we're helping a community that might otherwise be very neglected. And the reality is that each one of us, unless God takes us home early, is going to become an elderly person. So we need to have a paradigm shift where we value these people, because if we don't teach our generations to do that now, the ones who are going to be neglected are us. And so it's important that we help share that you pass on. And part of when we think about King's Compassion isn't just about feeling a deep sorrow for someone or their situation. It's doing something about it.
Acting on it.
It's taking action. So there's a lot of people that will come and they'll experience it and it stays there. But there are others that are able to give financially. They're able to give of their time. They give of their talents. They give of their skills for helping us, any way that they can. And we are so grateful for those opportunities, because not everybody can do, And one of the things that we always covet is prayers. If you can't do anything else, pray for us.
Exactly, yes.
Because God opens doors, through connections in ways that we can just do even more for the elderly and truly show them that they are valued and important.
Right, exactly. And that's so true. I mean, it speaks about it in the Bible, right? Take care of your widows. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of widows that are out there that are single, that, don't have their partner anymore. And it's just being obedient to what God has already called us to do. It's not something that, it's special that, we're doing this on our own. No, it kind of mandates that, to help out. And I know, especially as you get older, I start to think about those things. I'm not going to be able to do a lot of things that I can do right now. So I'm a firm believer in that whatever you sow, you're going to reap. So if you provide or you give those things, that God will take care of you,
Absolutely.
Regardless of the situation. But I think we need to do what we need to do when we can right now. Now, everybody has a calling. Sometimes, like I tell the kids, I said, you just got to find what that is. Sometimes it may be a special calling, like what you're doing specifically just for the seniors. And so, if you're listening right now, I don't know, maybe God has touched your heart or is moving you to maybe act. Maybe you've been wanting to do something. I know this situation with the COVID is kind of, seems like it's lifting up a little bit. We're not there yet, but there's always something that can be done. Now, if maybe somebody's listening and they want to reach out to you, maybe to give a donation, maybe somebody out there, like I said before, wants to give you a building, I don't know, or donate, food, or donate, monetary donations, where can they reach you, or how can they contact you?
People can always look up our website. It's kingscompassion.org. Okay. And it'll also have our phone number, but I can be reached at 210-325-3184. And Robert's phone number is the same. His just ends in 3. So his is 210-325-3183.
Okay, great. And Robert, I know, there's got to be men out there. I know sometimes women say, well, I can help in that. And then there's men that hey, I like to build things, or I like to tear things down, or whatever talent you have. What maybe you may be in need of something, Robert, like anything that maybe you can think about that say, hey, I need help. Maybe I know you guys are doing some little renovations, of course, or anything like that. I'm sure you're always open to people coming and helping you if they have a skill, carpentry or plumbing or electrician.
We are always looking for skilled laborers.
Okay.
People always looking for carpenters, electricians, plumbers, drywall people, foundation repair. Any of those who would like to donate their time, that their business has been blessed and favored, they say, you know what, I want to give back.
Right.
to a community that has blessed me. So even one Saturday a month would be wonderful.
Right.
It would be.
And these are not like major, like add a whole addition. These are just sometimes basic needs, you know,
Minor
that you have
repairs.
a hole in the wall.
Even something as easy as installing an outlet.
Right.
Or putting in some kitchen faucets, bathroom faucet fixtures, a shower, a simple shower, something like that.
Right.
So as
would
an
be
example,
immensely.
we have a gentleman that we're helping. He is 80 years old. He lives by himself. He absolutely has no family in San Antonio. And we found him through a relative that lives out of state. And so this gentleman is an example. He's 80 years old, lives by himself. He has no hot water. Robert tried to check his hot water heater to see if it would work, and it didn't. And so we just need somebody to check that, something that's simple.
And again, you know, the need is always there. If you feel that you can help with that need or donate or volunteer, again, you know, God's going to bless you. I mean, you're not going to go there and do a whole week's work. It's just maybe putting in a couple hours. And, you know, you're going to make such a big difference in somebody's life that sometimes you will not believe, especially when you see it and they're so grateful for you, for what you've done. And, you know, like you said, it touches you, it moves you to be able to do a little bit more next time. Please reach out to them, and, you know, you won't be disappointed.
That's right.
Well, we're at the end of our show. Robert Rose, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your story.
Thank you for inviting us.
And we're going to be here again next week again. So, you know, I don't know who I'll have next week, but again, we'll be here. Thank you so much for tuning in. You all be safe and be blessed. God bless.
This has been a Power of God production. This program has been sponsored by Last Chance Ministries and KDRY Radio.